All right, man. What's going on, y'all, man? Time for another video, man. Georgia just took an L to Notre Dame, man. It was a very defensive game through pretty much throughout, man. I mean, you have both teams playing at a higher level. I thought defensively, say what you want. I still think that Georgia defense is really good when you look at everything what they can do. Now, I know Riley Leonard was making plays, but overall, man, this was an electric game. Two really good teams. Thought it was a pretty good matchup. Now, I know for offensive purposes, probably not. Okay, when we look at the stats, we break everything down, probably not, man. But I thought both teams went toe to toe. It was a pretty good semifinal matchup. Now, Riley Leonard, and I know people have been critical of him and him not passing the ball a lot. Now, he only had 90 yards passing in this game. But you know one thing he did do when the offense struggled throwing the ball down the field? He ran it, right? And he ran it at a pretty good clip. 14 carries. I think he had 80 yards rushing in this game. He did and made some miraculous plays, throughout, especially on that last drive as he tried to put Georgia away, milk the clock. It was like 8 minutes to go. They milked it all the way down to like 2 minutes, right? One of them was a 3rd and 7. He beats the defender Harris to the outside and leapfrogs over Malachi Starks, an All-American safety. And you got to just tip your cap at that point, man. I mean, an electric player, man. And like I said, I know everybody's not so high on his passing and maybe, his completion percentage, but Riley did what he was supposed to do, man, and he killed. And it's what he been doing all year. Like when I seen them play Georgia Tech, I was like, yo, he don't really pass it, but he's such an effective runner and dual threat guy. He just tough to stop, man. So credit him for his effort against a really good Georgia defense. He did what he was supposed to do. Now, in terms of this game as a whole, man, what really hurt Georgia was the turnovers, right? You driving down, you get a really good first possession. Gunnar Stockton throws a dime and finds, I believe it was Arian Smith for a long ball. His only catch, I believe, on even one catch, 67 yards. He did what he was supposed to do. I thought Gunnar Stockton, 20 of 32, 234 yards and a touchdown, gets a really good defense. You know what I'm saying? But he got pressured a lot. That left tackle for Georgia was getting cooked. You know what I'm saying? And, like I said before, they fumble in the red zone. Notre Dame takes over, right? That's points you're missing there. Then right before the half, they get a strip sack. Great play made by Notre Dame defensively. And then next thing you know, Riley Leonard finds, Bo Collins over the middle of the field. Touchdown. It's 13-3. You know what I'm saying? At halftime. That changed a lot of the game because it was defensive, right? I think at one point it was 4 drives, only 79 yards of total offense through 4 drives. That tells you all you need to know. Both defenses was playing at a high-end level. So when you look at the final score, you're like, oh, well, Georgia gave up 23 points. No, or Georgia defense gave up 23 points. No, they did not. Another crazy play. The first play from scrimmage in the second half, Jaden Harris, 98-yard kick return for a touchdown. Like, bro, you know what I'm saying? That right there is a momentum shifter, right? You basically double up Georgia at that point, right? 6-3 game, you score a touchdown, and then you end up getting a kickoff return for a touchdown. You double up Georgia, and you get a 20-3 lead with an offense for the most part that's struggling, if we're being honest. The offense that struggles, new quarterback, first start. That's a tough spot to be in, down 23. Credit for Georgia for continuing to fight. Cash Jones obviously had that touchdown, a 32-yarder as well in the game, but that's a tough deficit to overcome in a real defensive game where points were hard to come by. I also want to give a shout out. His yards aren't great, but I thought Jadarian Price, number 24, did a really good job in there as well, running the football for what he was able to do. I thought he had a really great performance as well. Also defensively, whoever gets this kid is getting a dog, and that's Xavier Watts, the All-American, whatever you want to call him, man. I mean, the kid is phenomenal. 7 tackles in the game. I believe he had a pick as well. Dude is for real, man. I mean, obviously on the other side for Georgia, got Jalon Walker, who's a stud. Had that one penalty, where he jumped off, but that dude's a stud as well. But Xavier Watts, man, how he covers, how he can come down in the box, how versatile he is, man. He gonna make an NFL team very happy with him, whoever is able to land his services and draft him. He was all over the field tonight, and you could just see just playing at a different level. Another keynote in this game, Notre Dame defensive line was after Gunnar Stockton all game, 4 sacks in this one compared to just 1 for Georgia. That was another telltale stat in this game. And it was surprising because usually this Georgia offensive line, I ain't gonna say it's one of the best in the country, but it's a top tier offensive line. Right now, I'm not looking at no metrics or grades or coverage or anything like that. But I know from seeing it, definitely one of the best offensive lines in the SEC. So was it a little surprising the front was able to get after them so good? And like I said, the left tackle really got cooked in this game for the most part. Another stat, and that's what I said, this talks about the defense. And that's what I said, they did a great job. Georgia defense only gave up really 16 points for real besides that kickoff return. That was not them, that was special teams. Now, they gave up 308 yards. And I'm like, well, that's a lot, bro. But yo, it was hard to come by. You look at the yards per play, only 6.4 yards per pass. You know what I'm saying? They did not have a lot of yards per play. And look at another telltale statistic, 4 for 14 on third down. You know what I'm saying? That's getting it done defensively. I don't care what anybody says. That's how you do it. It just offensively, it wasn't much better. 2 for 12, 0 for 3. You can barely get yardage, only 62 yards on the ground. You got Trevor Etienne, you got Nick Frazier. Just couldn't open up enough holes. So, that was tough for them as well going forward. Overall for Georgia, though, man, it just was not a complete year. And when I say that, this is a good football team. I think there's differences between good and great. I don't think this was a great Georgia football team. Maybe you make the argument last year it was. But this year, just like they never really had a really complete game. Even you go back the first half and the first game, Clemson, Georgia, it was a good game. You know what I'm saying? They turned it on the second half, they looked good. The Texas game, you thought, whoa, defensively, really carried the day. You know what I'm saying? Jalon Walker, Mikael Williams, like they carried it. And you thought, okay, this team, hey, they could potentially make some noise, right? And then they beat Texas twice. They went in there and blew them out in Austin, and then beat them in the SEC championship game. You thought, okay, Georgia's good. Nah, they're still a good football team. What they're going to have to work on and figure out going forward for Georgia. All right? Are you going to stay with Gunnar Stockton? If you decide to, you have to build around him. Now, I think you got the backs to do it. We'll see what happens with Trevor Etienne, obviously, and what he decides to do. But you have Nick Frazier back another year. You got a pretty good class coming in as well at the running back. You know what I'm saying? You got Powell. You got some guys in there that can potentially, help you out. The key for them, though, is receiver. And I know they're going to try to add more pieces, definitely in the transfer portal. And I'll respond and react to that as well when I see that for Georgia. But the receiver spot, they got to figure out. No disrespect to Arian Smith. No disrespect to Dylan Bell. And I'm not even talking about Lawson Lucky or Oscar Dell. I think they're great pieces. You know what I'm saying? Especially those two tight ends, Delp and obviously Lucky. They need a guy to stretch the field, right? And I'm telling y'all, Georgia fans, man, get excited. We'll see what role he plays. You got Jacoby White, who's going to probably come back. Only a freshman. I doubt he hits the portal. You got this kid, C.J. Wiley and Taylor Taylor. Yo, the freshman for coming in, bro, 2025 is outstanding. And like I said, I think it could be an instant impact type class at that wide receiver spot. So if you're a Georgia fan, feel good about that. Obviously, this year was a struggle for receivers. You led the nation, I believe, or one of the top teams in the nation in drops. But you got a lot of good stuff coming back. Obviously, Mikael Williams, he's going to probably go to the draft. Same with Malachi Starks. You're going to lose some guys on the back end. But you got a guy that's already ready to play. And you've seen what he was able to do in this game too, KJ Bolden. Now it's just building around that defense and making sure your secondary is good to go. But we know what they can do. They can develop linebackers, ones that's ready to go. And it's going to be really interesting to see over a couple of years how they continue to progress. Nonetheless, with Kirby Smart, you're always going to have a good defense. Like, I think he has a proven track record to say that. Now it's figuring out the offense and having the offense play up to the level of the defense. I think that's what it looks like for Georgia going forward. But nonetheless, I wouldn't be upset with this loss. We made it to the quarterfinals. We got a lot to build on next year, and we should have a pretty good team. When we look at the freshmen and the transfer portal and everybody we got coming in, I feel pretty good. Now for Notre Dame, man, it's going to be a heck of a game. Yo, Notre Dame got a squad, and this could be the year for them. Like Notre Dame, Penn State, I think they nailed it. I know everybody is up in arms, and they're like, oh, man, the college football playoff wasn't great. These have been some good games. I mean, obviously the quarterfinals has been better to me than obviously the first round. First round got to figure out. Also, those first round buys as well. Might have to do away with that. All 4 teams that had a first round bye lost. So you got to figure that part out as well. But I will say, it's so intriguing to see these teams go. And look at these matchups we got. We got Penn State, Notre Dame, and then we got Ohio State, Texas. Bro, it don't get much better than that, man. I'm excited. Coverage will be next week. I can't wait to do videos and previews on those. That's going to be a lot of fun, man. But I want to give credit one more time to Riley Leonard. Really good football team. That defense is humming. Like they move to the ball. The corners is elite. The safety, Xavier Watts. The pressure on the defensive line. It's going to be a hell of a game. And it could mirror similarly to what Georgia's game just did too. It could be a 23-17 game because you got 2 really outstanding defenses. We've seen what Penn State did to Ashton Jensen and crew. Now, obviously, he had a couple good runs in there. That defense for real with Abdul Carter. They got Tyler Warren on the other side. Obviously, Katron Allen. They obviously got Drew Aller. They got some dudes, but it's going to be an interesting chess match to see who can come out on top for a chance to play for a national championship. 2 elite teams. I can't wait. Can't wait to preview it. It'll be a lot of fun, man. But credit to Notre Dame. So, yeah, man, that's all I got. That's my instant reaction. Notre Dame beats Georgia. Tough game, but I thought, they competed well. I thought the defense played pretty well, but just couldn't quite get those big plays they needed in order to come out on top. And Notre Dame looks like a national title contender, and they're not a team to sleep on. That's my instant reaction. Georgia fans, holla at me what y'all think about this game and this loss. Do you feel good going into next season, or do you feel a little apropos? Let me know.